Welcome to The Social Impact. My name is Keenan Williams, and in this edition I look into the reason for our existence while exploring scientific fact and religious reason. Welcome to The Social Impact. So, today I'm here contemplating about a very serious issue for many, the reason for our existence. The crux of various religions around the world is to serve a deity and the rest of humanity while caring for the environment and other living beings. I always get into heated debates with friends who are atheists as they want me to prove the existence of God as well as the reason for our existence. Living in a democratic country with freedom of speech and freedom of religion, I respect that freedom of my atheist friends, but in turn request that of them as well. I find it very hurtful in a way that there are many atheists and those questioning faith who are basically living their lives in such a way as to hurt another. I've come across several posts on social media aimed at the church and religion where non-believers are on the attack. Now, many people would ask me why I believe what I believe. Well, I could say that I believe what I believe because I'd been taught that from my parents, but also with years of personal spiritual discernment, I have found that voice and reason of God. I remember my first physical and spiritual encounter with God very clearly. It was a weekday evening, and like every other night I was suffering some sort of sadness as the bullying at school that day had pulled at my emotions. As I normally would, I would find comfort and solace in praise and worship music, and much of the music I had written and composed back then was fueled by much hurt and sadness in my youth. I would play a few keys on my keyboard and sing of the hurt, sing of the pain, and many times I would pray to God asking for comfort. That particular evening I was listening to a CD, and at that time More Love, More Power was playing. I had darkened the room, lit a candle, and raised my hands into the air in praise and worship as I was praising God, and I wept. I wept for the hurtful things said to me at school that day. Wept that I didn't have many friends, and as I continued to praise that night with a song playing in the background, I felt such warmth, such comfort in that place. I remember the entire room was illuminating with light as each corner, which was covered in darkness, was no more. The emotion, as you can imagine, was so amazing that all that I could do was cry, smile, and give my life to this God, a God who had given me more love, more power, and more of Himself in my life. That night I felt that my heart had changed, my life was different, and I'd left that room and lived my life with Jesus as my friend, my comforter, my strength, and my light in a dark world. Now, as a Christian, if I should look at the reason for our existence, according to church teaching, it is to know God, to love Him, and to serve Him in this life and in the next. Our creation was also a free and unselfish act of love. But why then do we still have people who doubt and others who can prove that God does not exist? Why do we, even myself, question at times the existence and presence of God? Some non-believers would say that the reason for our belief is that we are afraid that when we die one day we will truly and forever be dead. There can be truth in that, as many of us would like to feel more comfort in the belief in an afterlife. I remember my grandfather used to say, "I'd rather believe and see that it's not so than not to believe and see that it is so." Now, some scientists even believe that our universe shouldn't have existed and was supposed to have destroyed itself as soon as it came into existence. This is according to an article on independent.co.uk, which was published in October 2017. Scientists had found that at the beginning of the universe, according to the standard model, there were equal amounts of matter and antimatter. The trouble with that is that they would have each annihilated each other, leaving none of the matter that surrounds us today. And researchers have been frantically looking for some difference between matter and antimatter that could explain why the universe is still around, but they have tried a range of different possibilities, that they have different mass, electric charge, or something else, but have found no difference. A very scary reality. However, something is keeping everything in the solar system and beyond that intact, and basically seeing our universe grow, expand, and form new planets, new stars, and see us develop more as a human race. Another scientist, Dr. David Hamilton, in an article on express.co.uk in July 2017, had said that our human consciousness had and will always exist. According to Dr. Hamilton, consciousness is created on a quantum subatomic scale through energy which is constantly contained in the universe. His theory is based on Einstein's famous quote when he said, "Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be changed from one form to another," close quote. The scientist believes that the consciousness is and will always be in the universe through quantum particles, and when someone is born, it is channeled into a physical being. Now, this theory sounds very similar to that of a Christian belief of each human being possessing a soul which had, will, and will always exist. Dr. Hamilton goes further to say that science would typically say that life is random, ultimately stemming from the random birth of subatomic particles, but he does not quite agree with that. So, then what is our purpose and reason for our existence? If science rings true in some saying that God or a higher power doesn't exist, then what is our true purpose in life? I give you now a brief snippet of an article I found online on allaboutworldview.org. In this article, it says that in the meantime, scientists generally conclude that we don't have a real purpose, any more than a tree or fish or insect has a real purpose. Now, those of us who reproduce will leave offspring who may be slightly better adapted to life here on Earth, and thus the species may continue to gradually improve. But scientists don't propose that this is part of any master plan. In the absence of God, humans are left to conclude that their only purpose is to behave as animals do, maximizing those things that we find pleasant and minimizing pain. Even those who perform acts of compassion and charity may be seen as doing so because they find it pleasurable or because they receive something in return for their actions. The article goes further to say that unfortunately humans have evolved to the point where they don't remain satisfied with this explanation or this way of life for long. Something in our internal makeup creates a sense of emptiness when we live this way. Scientifically, it makes no sense for humans to not be satisfied with being completely selfish, unless, of course, God put that emptiness there as a kind of calling card. It's like spending years digging the rubble for an ancient civilization and finding at the lowest level a spaceship. You can try to rewrite everything you've ever thought about ancient history to make sense of it, or you can admit that something totally outside your experience put that spaceship there. Now, God is calling us to see the same thing with His creation. No matter how deeply scientists dig into the nature of matter, the size of the universe, the complexity of life, they will never completely explain it. Now, in conclusion, there have been various debates around whether faith and science can coexist. According to a quote in the UCAT, which is the Youth Catechism of the Catholic Church, there is no insoluble contradiction between faith and science because there cannot be two kinds of truth. So we can further conclude that there is only one truth which both faith and scientific reason refer. God intended reason, which with with which we can recognize the rational structure of the world. And questioning faith, existence, and purpose is good. It gets us to research, to explore, and hopefully to find. To me, the existence of God is real, and I live my life in such a way as to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him and all people. However, there are still those who are searching for the answers of truth. Their purpose, hopefully, will be to find that truth and peace within themselves and to find their God. Now, fundamentally, answering the question which sparked this entire discussion, the reason for our existence is to keep searching, to keep seeking, to keep exploring, and keep traveling on life's journey, and hopefully one day find that truth we have all been searching for.